guys, so today I thought I would talk about book shopping in Basel and my bookshelf here in Switzerland. So I've been here in Basel for about 8 days now and in Switzerland for about a month and a week, I think. And I have been book shopping. I came to Switzerland with 3 books. So I came to Switzerland with 3 books. Switzerland, a travel book, so that's pretty self-explanatory. I had bought this in Virginia before I came over to Switzerland because I am in Switzerland for 74 days and I was like, I just need a book to kind of help me do some research. So I bought this one new at Barnes & Noble in Virginia, and it's really nice because it has like a map of Switzerland and each region. So when I flew into Switzerland, I was in Zurich, which is right here. Then I took a train to Lucerne, which is down here. And then I am up in northern Switzerland in Basel up here. No, wait. I went from Zurich up here to Lausanne over here, and then I went back up to Basel up here in northern Switzerland. So I've been in northern Switzerland, western Switzerland, and now like really north Switzerland, like Germany and France are like an hour away. But I have not been there because I don't want to mess up my visa things, and then I think you have to have a negative COVID test when you enter France. And I don't want to pay to get that done because I have to pay and get it done in 2 weeks when I go to the UK. So it's kind of annoying. And they don't have a lot of clear information about getting tested here. It's usually all at the airport, or you pay 400 Swiss francs, so like $450 to them come to your house to get tested, which I don't want to do. So we're gonna figure that out farther into the future. But this is one of the books that I brought with me to Switzerland. I have used this pretty often and I think it's pretty useful. The second book I brought to Switzerland was Just Enough German. This is just kind of it's a German like language guidebook that kind of tells you how to ask questions and like tourist information that you would need to know. When I flew in, I was in Zurich for 2 weeks. That's the German-speaking part of Switzerland. And then I was in near Geneva, which is the French-speaking part of Switzerland. So this book did not help me there. And I'm back in the German-speaking part of Switzerland. But the thing I have noticed is in the German-speaking part of Switzerland, like Geneva and here in Basel, people speak English here. But when I was in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, you won't find anyone who speaks English. So I should have had Just Enough French instead of Just Enough German, because it would have been more helpful while I was near Geneva and Lausanne, because they spoke French and not English or German. So there's that. And then the third book I brought with me was What We Owe to Each Other by T.M. Scanlon. So I got this one before I left. I ordered it on Amazon. I was like, oh, I'll read this while I'm here. And this is a book that in The Good Place, the TV show, they kind of talk about it, and it's about moral philosophy and covers reasoning and kind of what it means to be a good person and how you would define good actions and bad actions and kind of all that kind of thinking. I'm not very far into it. I'm on page 25. I haven't gotten that far into it. I was really excited for this book, but it's very hard to read. It's not a novel, it's philosophy and kind of learning how to understand these arguments. I haven't studied philosophy since I was a sophomore in college. So this is it's fun to read and it is interesting. But once I read like a paragraph or two, I have to stop and read it again and again and again for it to actually make sense, because the sentences are quite confusing. It's just about reasoning and coming to conclusions and how those conclusions can be seen as good or bad, and are they good or bad because of like our cultural context or because of our own withstanding like our own personal health beliefs. So it's really interesting. I want to finish this before I leave Switzerland, so in the next 15 days or so, because I don't want to carry this with me. I think these 3 books I know I'm definitely gonna leave here because I don't have any reason to take German or Switzerland with me to the UK. And this one, I've already been like dragging it around for more than a month. So I don't want to carry it any longer than that. And once I'm in the UK, it'll be a lot easier to get books in English and a lot cheaper. So I feel like I wouldn't need to keep these with me anymore. And then when I was in Zurich, I did buy a book at the bookstore. So when I was in Zurich, I did end up buying A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, and I finished reading this a couple days ago. So I'm kind of unsure if this is a book I want to take with me or if I want to leave. I feel like I would want to read this book again, but it is kind of a brick, and I do just have a check bag and a backpack that I'm traveling with, and I don't really want to add this much extra weight to my bag, but this is a book that I feel like I would pick up and read again, especially just maybe just certain random parts, just to like see, oh, like wait, is that what that meant? Or like just to go back and read it again. So this is one of my favorite books, I think, of the year, so I will probably take this with me. I feel like maybe even just like taking it with me and then reading it in the UK and then leaving it before I go to Italy or Sweden might be a good idea, just to have like another book to read, but we'll see. Then this is a book that we're now on to the books I've gotten since I've been here in Basel. I got this one yesterday, The Priory of the Orange Tree. I got this one new at a bookstore. So yesterday is kind of like the inspiration for this video. I wanted to find some more English books to read, and last week I did go thrifting and I picked up the Twilight whole series, the box set. So Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, Breaking Dawn, and The Second Life of Brie Tanner. So the Twilight one is in the living room because I'm reading it right now. And I've never read the Twilight series. I've read Life and Death by Marissa Meyer, but that was the gender swap of Bella and Edward, but not like the original series. And I found this at the Salvation Army here last week. It was $30, and it's 5 books, so that's about $4 a book, and that's actually pretty good in Sweden because when I bought this book new, A Little Life, and it was 1990 Swiss francs, so that's pretty expensive, I think, for a book. So this one was actually a pretty good deal, and my goal is to read all of these books in the next 15 days, so that's a bit of a challenge, but this is a pretty big thing for me to carry to the UK and back. So I will most likely leave these books here, even though I really was excited to see this because this is a collector's like edition of the Twilight series. It's just really pretty to look at, and I like them, but I don't know if that's something I would want to carry with me for a long time, because it will take up a large chunk of my bag. And when I came to Switzerland, my bag was already pretty packed, and I'm kind of worried because I don't have a scale here. I'm kind of worried about how much my bag will weigh because it weighed 52 pounds when I flew over, and that was fine, but I'll be flying to the UK and I don't want to have to pay an overage fee for a heavy bag. And so that was when I went thrifting last week. I got the Twilight collection. And then yesterday I wanted to go and do some more book shopping. I just like to go to bookstores sometimes and see what the new books are and maybe like take a picture so I like remember the title and everything and get it as an ebook later. And it's just kind of a nice way to like get an introduction to a book to see if I'd actually like reading it before I get it. And I was really excited because there's this bookstore in Basel called 10,000 Books, and I was reading the reviews, and people said they had a lot of English books. So I was like, yay, a lot of English books, and they're pretty affordable, so like $3 or $4 a book. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. So caught the train there yesterday, walked to it, got there. They had maybe 40 books in English, and they were like instruction manuals for like Office or like Microsoft too. And I was like, oh. Or they were like climate books from like 15 years ago. And I'm like, oh. So that was kind of a letdown, and I was pretty disappointed about that actually. I was very excited for that bookstore, and then to not have as many English books as because kind of talked about, which I know that's still privileged to have English books when I'm in Switzerland, and the majority of the books are in German. So there's that. But then I was like, okay, pretty disappointed. Let me try a different bookstore. So I found a new bookstore called Bitter and Tanner in Basel. It was nice. They gave me this bookmark in my book. This bookmark. And that was just nice. They had a big, very large section of new books in English, and I was kind of being able to like read through and like look at all the new books, and I found a couple that I really want to read, but I didn't pick those ones up. I'm going to get those ones as ebooks. I like to get shorter books as ebooks because it's a lot faster to get through them, but when it comes to longer books, I like to get them in a physical copy because I feel like it's easier to read because you can kind of see your progress, but then you can also you could just take it with you like when you're on a train or traveling. It's a lot easier to read a physical book than to pull my laptop out and read it that way. So like A Little Life was I read this because I saw it on TikTok and social media, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out, and I really enjoyed it, and it is a big book. And then like that, I was like, okay, so now I need my next big book. I got The Priory of the Orange Tree. And I do have this one as a digital copy, except it was kind of difficult to read as a digital copy. And every time I tried to read it as a digital copy, I'd kind of like move on. So every time I would try to like sit down and read it in the digital version, it was something that like I never really wanted to do, even though I was super interested in this. I know this is talked about like as the next level of fantasy and literature, and I was very interested in that. Someone's like, it's the next Game of Thrones, and I'm like, do we need a next Game of Thrones? But it's supposed to be very good, and like people have been raving about it for the past year, so I wanted to check it out. So the thing I like about the bookstores here in Switzerland is they have chairs, so you can sit down and read a book first and get through like the first couple of pages to see if it's something you're interested in. So I got to page 15, 16, and I was like, okay, I'll get this book. So this book I think was 2090 Swiss francs, but it is 830 pages. Go through. They have it's 804 pages. So this is going to keep me pretty busy. It took me about a month, 3 weeks to read A Little Life, but I was reading that off and on. And I am probably going to put this book on hold and save it for when I'm traveling, because it is around a similar size to A Little Life. I guess it's a bit thicker, but they should fit in my backpack front pocket or in my backpack, and I could just take it out and read it, because I'm going to be on a train for when I go to the UK from Basel to Zurich, and then at the airport, and then from Zurich to London, and then I'm going to be doing a lot of train rides once I get to England. So I feel like having a nice big chunky book boy would be pretty nice. This is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. And yeah, I'm kind of interested to see where this one goes. I feel like a lot of the fantasy and kind of like young adult fantasy books I have read are going to be not well, I've read a lot of like adult and young adult fantasy and like dystopian type books when I was younger, but in the past couple of years, I've kind of switched up and read academic books, and I have recently like gotten back into young adult fantasy, like the Cruel Prince series by Holly Black, or Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And I feel like this book is just going to be like an elevated version of all of those books, because it's kind of like an adult but young adult fantasy, and I'm excited to see what it does, like how good this one is. So I paid 20.90 francs for this, so that's like $23. On the back they have it in pounds. It's 10.90 pound. This would have been so much cheaper in the UK. I could have waited 3 weeks and got it there, but oh well. So that is my bookshelf here in Basel. I'm probably going to leave the Twilight books and then my travel books and that philosophy book. And then when I head to the UK, I'm probably going to take these two with me, even though they're the chunkiest ones. So yeah, that's my bookshelf here in Basel and my book shopping experience. I really like it so far. The bookstores here are really nice. They're clean, good lighting. They have a wide selection. And then when I was coming home, I was like, oh, I'll stop and see if the first store where I got the Twilight books had the Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. And I didn't get it when I was there last time because I was like, oh, I already have enough books. I don't need to get any more. And I was excited. I was like, oh, I'll go and see if they have it, because I was in like a book buying mood. And I went there, got to the shelf, and it's actually pretty nice. I have a whole shelf of books in English, but they didn't have The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, and I was kind of like, oh. It had been about a week later, so someone had gotten it, and I was like, oh well, I can always read the digital copy. So I was kind of disappointed. And then I went and looked at the knickknacks, and I found this little guy. You can see him, like you're right in the light, but it's like a little teddy bear, little porcelain knickknack. I was like, oh, that's cute. So I was like, I'll get this. This was like 90 cents franc, and a random little thing that'll go on my shelf. Goes good with the Twilight series because of the red and white. And yeah, that's my bookshop. That's my book buying and my bookshelf here in Basel. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a nice week. Bye!